Hello there, my name's Matthew Humby and I'm the General Manager here at the Plaza Cinema Truro, and it's my pleasure to welcome you, so come on in. I mean, it seems strange to me talking about it now, but when I first started here, I started right at the bottom, and I was at university and I wrote a letter, as people did in those days, and I sent it, and to my surprise, I got an interview and I was accepted. And yeah, I started right at the bottom, and at the time it seemed like it was a holiday job, and I just never left, and consistently failed upwards ever since, and now find myself as the general manager in charge, and it's a really nice feeling because I've loved working here, and I've made so many good friends over the years and had so many good experiences centered around this business, this building, and the people within it, staff and patrons. And yeah, it's for me, it's been formative. So this is the foyer of the Plaza Cinema, which is where you'll first enter, and the screens are spaced around that. So we're going to start by going into screen 3, which is just this way. This is far from our largest screen. This is sort of a middle-sized screen. Seats 90 people. You'd often get art films in here and that sort of thing, or matinees for kids. So very different audiences depending on the film that's showing. There's so much I could say. I mean, there have been many highlights, personal and professional. We've won awards, which is very exciting, and we've hosted all kinds of exciting people, interesting people, talented people. I just think it's worth highlighting that this is a really strange job. You never really know what you're going to be doing day to day, as much as there are long periods of routine and just sheer it's hard to imagine now, but hard work, believe it or not. There are also incredible moments. So one day you could be shaking hands with Steve McQueen, Turner Prize and Oscar-winning artist, filmmaker, director, writer, and just total literal genius, and that's really amazing. Or I remember, and credit should go to the former general manager Stuart Jenkins for this, one of many events he organised. But Bill Forsyth brought his wonderful film Local Hero here and screened that. And even now I think about that and it seems far-fetched, but that happened. People were here, they saw it, so they know. It really did happen. Yeah, so you can go from highs like that 1 minute to, I mean, a urinal exploding in your face. It's one of those jobs. Or, yeah, as my colleague Mark was doing, you know, dragging maggot-ridden seagull corpse out of netting on the roof. Yeah, so it's a job of highs and lows, put it that way. So we're going to sneak out the back way here, down the corridor to screen 2. This is a slightly larger screen, 170 seats in here, so starting to get a bit busier when it's full. And again, we often have art films in here, that sort of thing. We recently had a cast and crew screening for a local filmmaker's new film. That was a very exciting night. Apparently screen 2 is haunted. I have not seen anything or felt anything. People will have their own views on why that is. But yeah, no, some people do think that screen 2 is haunted, and they have seen or felt various things, and there is a whole story around that, which I cannot possibly imagine has any historical basis, but then maybe I'm just a horrible old cynic, and that's why I don't think that, you know, that's why I haven't been, you know, visited. But other people certainly do think that screen 2, and it's certainly true that it's the coldest screen, and it is the spookiest screen. And although I've spent a lot of time in this building alone in the dark at night, for entirely legitimate reasons, I should say, I've never been scared, but Screen 2 is the one where you do sort of get a prickle and think, maybe I will go home soon. We're going upstairs now, moving through the foyer again, but heading up to our largest screen, which is Screen 1. That seats about 260 people. So, as you can imagine, it's often blockbuster fare in there. Kids' films in the morning, and action movies and comedies in the evening. Can be jam-packed. I remember various premieres, like sold-out premieres, and showing people to their seats and feeling the sense of anticipation before the film starts. The building's been here for decades, of course. It dates back to around about the time of the Second World War, and I can remember when it was boarded. This is a personal recollection, but when I was a kid driving down Lemon Street and seeing the building boarded up, and it was a very sad time as a kid. Like, cinema was important to me, and the idea of being able to go and see the latest films was very exciting. And the fact that Truro didn't have that seemed really wrong. And so maybe I wasn't really thinking on this level when I got the job here, but that was when the cinema reopened, and it was a very exciting time. That was newsworthy. That was exciting. But obviously the history of the building goes back way before that, and before we were here as a company, or I was here as an employee. And it's actually true, though again it sounds far-fetched, that Queen used to rehearse here. And I always picture them in my mind on the screen on the stage that we have down in Screen 2. But of course, the building was probably very different then, and it probably was not there. But it is true that Queen used to rehearse here, and that was a great little factoid to be able to bust out when we were showing Bohemian Rhapsody and the crowds were coming in for that film, back in the days when there were crowds for film and there hadn't been a global pandemic, or one that impacted us during our lifetimes, that is. And so that's an exciting thing to know. I mean, Mud also rehearsed here apparently, but people seem to be less interested in that. So now we're going around the corner from Screen 1 into Screen 4 here, just this way. This just holds about 50 people, although you might not believe it when you see the size of the room. This is one of our smallest screens. Well, the first thing I should say, I think, is that obviously all businesses have suffered, and I don't want to special plead on our behalf or claim that we've suffered more or less than other businesses. We have also been affected. So all I can talk about is our experience and my personal experience. And I would say that it's been a really difficult time. It's been really hard. We were open for a short period between the lockdowns, and that was very difficult to see. I mean, I think in common with everyone, we were all very uncertain. We didn't really know what was safe and what wasn't, what this new normal that we were emerging from our lockdowns into was. And also it just felt very precarious in terms of the business because there were no films available. We couldn't get posters. I'm told that if you phoned the distributors, there were just phones ringing in empty offices because they just weren't back to work. So it was very uncertain, very worrying. We were here all day, every day, but only a small number of patrons were coming. And so it was very sad. I mean, it was sad during lockdown to see the building shut down, see all the cinemas black and empty and all the poster boards blank. And it's so strange because it's one of those businesses that just, once it's open and it's running, it's open all day, every day. We only stop for 2 days at Christmas. So it's really, really strange to see the building shuttered. And I guess perhaps on some level I was remembering what it was like as a kid to see the building completely closed. So it was very sad. I should say that as a postscript to that, we're now open and we're doing a level of business. We're by no means, it's not exactly boom time, but we are keeping our heads above water, and people are coming back, which is so lovely to see. I mean, I feel so grateful to those people who came out between the lockdown and showed support, and there were so many lovely gestures of people refusing refunds for films that would never show. And I remember two ladies coming in, and they were like, how are you doing? And one of them was like, let me buy a gift card, let's say £100. And then immediately the other lady was like, yes, I'll need one of those too, £100 please. And there were people making gestures like that, and it was really moving, actually, really lovely to see. People are all right, really. And we benefited from a lot of support like that. And like I say, now it's busier, and there are films. There are big blockbusters, and there are really wonderful films, brimming with artistic merit and creativity, and just all sorts of films across the spectrum are being made available, and people are coming to see them. And it's so nice to be back at work and to be enjoying it the way we used to, because this is a great job, and I love it, and the guys that I work with love it, and it's so nice to be back to some level of normality. It's by no means, as I say, busy, but perhaps that's what James Bond is for when it finally comes out. Perhaps we'll see something like the world that we knew before the pandemic when that's released. Here we go now, up to our final screen, our newest screen and smallest screen. But size isn't everything. This is a very beautiful room. This is screen 5. It has its own integral bar. And as you can see, it's quite a smart room. And it has its own pod projector in the room, which is unusual, rather than having a projection box with a projector in it elsewhere. For some people, cinema isn't part of their lives. It's not something they do. There are other people who are here every week, and sometimes more than just once a week, and we are, and I know this because they tell me, a big part of their lives. And that's certainly true for me and for the people I work with, the other managers and the boys and girls that we employ. And yeah, I obviously think that film is important, and being able to watch films together is important and worthwhile. And yes, there is a sense of community around the building, and amongst the people that come together to watch films here. So again, it's not really for me to say, I run the cinema together with the people I work with, and that's what we hope for, and it will be for others to judge whether we're providing a service that they want to take advantage of. But we hope we are, and we want to make as many people welcome here as we possibly can.